without further ado, I will invite Mayor to address us. And as the norm, at the end of that address, we will then take questions from you. We'll then go around the room taking questions from you. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Sis Lindy, our head of communication in the municipality. Honorable Councillor Madlala, the chairperson of Governance and Human Resources Committee cluster in the city, Deputy Head of Water and Sanitation, Mr. Villani, who's also part of us. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Thank you very much for availing yourself for this media briefing to keep you up to speed on a number of administrative and service delivery issues in the municipality. Among the issues we'd like to update you on is the process of appointing the eThekwini city manager. We'd like to confirm that the process to appoint the city manager is nearing completion. This follows the conclusion of interviews more than a week ago and the scheduling of competency assessments for the candidate for this week. You will recall that this position of city manager has been vacant since the municipality parted ways with the previous city manager, Mr. Nzuza, last year. We want to reiterate that the filling of the city manager's position is urgent, and as the leadership of the city, we have prioritized this responsibility. We want to commend the panel that was approved by the council for moving with speed to finalize the process. This panel, which is tasked with the selection process, comprises the deputy mayor, who is representing the mayor as a delegated by the mayor, 3 executive committee members, and an external expert. A total of 158 applications were received, and of those, 17 candidates were shortlisted. A screening process was conducted for all 17 shortlisted candidates as required. In addition to an interview, candidates also had to do presentations based on a case study that they were given. The next step is to finalize competency assessments. Once the panel has concluded all the steps in the process, a report will be presented to ESCO and to the council next week. Again, we are happy that there is a progress achieved so far in this regard. Earlier on today, we met with the Auditor General. She also raised the concern about the unavailability of the city manager in the city. So we also gave her the very same report. Again, we want to assure the people of eThekwini that we are conducting this process with the agency and the thoroughness it deserves. Colleagues, last week, there were reports about fish that were found dead on the Isipingo Lagoon. Following this incident, the city conducted an investigation to ascertain the root cause of the pollution. Our investigation revealed that there were 2 sewer pump stations that were affected in the area that were contributing to the sewer spillage. We are also pleased to report that these 2 pumps have been repaired and installed. Our pollution control team has been able to remove most of the dead fish, and the cleanup operation is in progress as we speak. The team will continue to monitor the water quality through sampling and field surveys. We want to apologize to the people of eThekwini for any inconvenience caused as a result of this incident. Colleagues, the April floods caused extensive damage to our water infrastructure, and the city is working flat out to restore water supply in all affected areas. Last Monday marked the first month since we introduced a contractor to commence with the repairs of the Tongat water treatment works plant, which was washed away by the April floods. Last week, we conducted an oversight visit to the plant to assess the progress we are making on repairs. We are pleased that currently the repairs on the plant are sitting at over 15%. We are confident that this work will be completed by end of October and allow for the full restoration of water supply in affected areas in Otongat. This plant has been stabilized and work has begun on the new power station that will assist with pumping water from the plant to more than 5 reservoirs that are supplied by this treatment plant. As a municipality, we are also continuing to invest in the procurement of water tankers to meet the increasing demand for water in areas where people are unable to access water from our taps. In the current financial year, we have allocated 133 million for the procurement of 55 water tankers to meet this demand. This will add to the current fleet of 123 water tankers which are servicing the entire municipality. We strongly believe that this is a more financially viable option, as the city is currently hiring 52 water tankers at an estimated cost of 6.2 million per month. We want to assure our residents in eThekwini that we are working day and night to ensure that basic services are fully restored to all communities. I thank you.
That is the end of the statement by Mayor. We will now open an opportunity for colleagues to ask questions, and Mayor will be assisted by Hlobo and Mr. Vilane in responding to your questions. We'll take them in batches of 3. As usual, please introduce yourself and the media house that you represent, and then you can pose your questions. Shall I have an indication of who would like to ask questions? And then, of course, we will open an opportunity for colleagues who would like to do one-on-one interviews, but let's take questions throughout the room at the stage. This is number 1, 2, 3, Mukhalesai. Yeah, shall we start here then?
Thanks so much. It's Javier from News 24. So can we just get an indication, Mr. Mayor, in terms of the appointment of this municipal manager or city manager, can we expect someone maybe in the next 2 weeks or 2 to 4 weeks, if you can just give us sort of a timeline? And the second question is regarding, you mentioned sort of the issues following the floods. Can we say, do you have a number for the number of TRUs that have been built, and how many people do we still have in the halls at the moment, and what are we doing just to resolve that?
In the line but from some of the questions covered, but I want to ask about it. Abantu abalapha esohlala abakhala ngamanzi ukhuluma ukuthi nama-truck ahambisa amanzi kodwa ke lapho hlanga basakhala ngayo ngathi abafiki kanye futhi ne-sinkhole. I think it's between Nanda and Uzu, those sinkhole what are the plans the municipality have ukuthi nawo unevalekile lapho. Okunye futhi esingakubheka it's the period of abantu abasholwa bemndeni yabo bathandiwe ngama-floods mhlawumbe bengabe afika because i-municipality had said ukuthi hayi ibhizi iyabasiza imphakathi.
Thanks so much. My name is Isipingo. Mr. Mayor, I would like to...
From where can say? Which media house?
No, from SABC. No, but I want to know from you, Mr. Kaunda, that you have already said that the process of voting the CPM is about to be completed right now. So, but my question is, how sure are you that this process will not be challenged, perhaps in court, because that's something things happen?
No, thank you very much. Let's start with the timelines for the appointment of the city manager. As we have indicated in the statement that on our side we have concluded everything. The assessments that are being conducted, they are conducted by court. So once they are done, we were anticipating that by end of this week they will be done. So next week, definitely the council will be in a position to appoint a city manager. How sure we are if the process is not going to be challenged? We can't speculate for now. You know, all these processes, people who participate as candidates, they've got all the rights to raise issues if there were issues. So we'll take those issues as they come during that process. The other issue is on the Ohlange area where water tankers are not forthcoming to service that area. We were not aware of such a complaint, so you have assisted us because we need to be interacting with the ward councillor if there are challenges. But most of the wards are being serviced by water tankers, and although they can't be adequate per ward to have 10, we normally allocate the number that is available to assist the ward. Of course, depending on the size of the ward and the households that are affected in that area, we try and mitigate. But water tankers, as you all know, they are in high demand. So we need to ensure that we allocate even to other areas as well. But there mustn't be any area where there is no water supply, but we can't complement the services through water tankers. So that's a matter that we are going to take as a matter of urgency to deal with such. The sinkhole and the other roads which were affected by floods, most of the roads, there are processes that we have put in place, the bridges. As you know, that we have reprioritized our budget to ensure that we respond, especially to the infrastructure that is a linkage between more than 2 communities, and also it's an infrastructure that also commute people to places of work, to schools. So those are our priorities of roads that we are going to be fixing. Some have already been fixed. So we are in attendance of such outstanding work. The issue of burials, as we indicated, that we're fortunate that Motsepe Foundation, in one of the areas where they said they will intervene, are the burials. So there is no family that can claim that it wasn't being in a position to get assistance from the municipality if the family has approached us, because we've got a team here in the office of the mayor that liaises with Motsepe Foundation. As you all know, that Motsepe Foundation indicated that they are not going to be transferring monies to our bank account. All what they are going to do is for us to requisite whatever transaction in relation to that. So they are more than prepared if there are families that are still having difficulty. Our doors are open in City Hall to assist those families. So definitely they will be assisted when they come forward. The issue of TRUs, although I don't have figures with me here, but there is a process that is being followed. Especially, you'll recall that the former Premier and the former MEC of Human Settlement together went to Reservoir Hills. We indicated that we'll be establishing there the temporal structures. Later, we'll establish the permanent structures. But a decision has been taken that we don't need to, because the land is already been made available. So we need to start building the real permanent structures instead of temporal structures. So that work is continuing in many different areas. Ntuzuma sites were identified. Many areas, when you talk about Molweni and other areas in the municipality where the land was made available, that process is continuing. This afternoon I'll be meeting the new MEC so that we can take each other in confidence on the matters since he's just joined the department, as to how do we roll out this process and expedite it. So I'm sure we'll be in a position, since this work is conducted by the Provincial Human Settlement, we'll be in a position to inform the members of the public on the progress that we have made so far. But there are TRUs that have been built, and the occupation has also been made to such structures. The the issue pertaining to, yeah, I think I've responded to you, Skalisake, whether this process won't have any disputes. So we'll await if there are any disputes coming forward.
Thank you, Dr. Mayor. It's 1, 2, and there's 3 at the back there. Start.
Yeah.
From the Mercury. Number 1, I would like to know if the allegations that are tabled in the tip-off against Mr. Mavonda are being investigated regarding receiving bribes concerning the role of appointing city manager. And number 2, I would like you to comment on the people that occupied Transnet, apparently, or from Umsinzi, they've told us that the people will be moved back because maybe they've won a court interdict. I'm not exactly sure. But if you can comment
Can
on
you come again on that?
Transnet,
Okay.
people that are occupying the Transnet building in Montclair. Okay. They are moving back into that building after they were evicted, according to MC. So I just want to get a comment from you, from the mayor, concerning that, and whether or not it's true that the city is in a process or looking into buying that Transnet building for the reason of housing flood victims. Ngiyabonga.
Thanks. It's Karuna from Boardroom Africa. 2 questions from me. The first is on the sewer issue that we have. Do we have a budget and then a deadline to repair the broken sewer plants? There are a number that are broken. Even before the floods, they were broken. We have been on the ground to find sewer leaks across the city, including the Montville, where there's sewer running down a main road into a playground. It's not healthy for residents. What's our concrete, tangible plan there? And secondly, with regards to the TRUs, so it is then a provincial issue with human settlements, but there are still people in community halls that are living in very unsanitary conditions. They can't have baths, they don't have food. What is the city doing to ensure that they are receiving the basic human rights that they should be, even though they are displaced and lost their homes from the floods?
There's a third question at the back there.
Isipingo Lagoon from ENCA, I'm covered also.
Okay.
Since it's a women's month, so the women has covered all of the men that are still remaining. No, thank you very much. Firstly, let me start with the issues of allegations you are talking about. We are still receiving a report. As we are saying, the issue of the appointment of the city manager will be concluded. So once we receive the report on what transpired and against the allegations, we'll take it from there. The issue on, since you know that the pronunciation has not been made, it's a matter that will need to await us to make a pronunciation on it, because the appointment to us is urgent for the city manager. The issue on Transnet and what Mxolisi is saying, there has been an engagement with the Transnet as the owner of the building, with the Minister of Human Settlements nationally and the province, and ourselves as a city. What transpired in those deliberations was that the national minister or the Minister of Human Settlement will be looking at the matter, maybe to assist us as a municipality to take the building back to us from Transnet, instead of it being sold to private developers. So those are still on the discussions, and I'm sure soon there will be a resolution in relation to that. We are still engaging. Remember, anything that involves money will need even the minister to go back and see on her purse if it's possible to give eThekwini the money to take over the building now. So if not, but the commitment is there in principle, then there will be arrangements that will be made for us to take over that building. So we are still looking at that matter. The issue of women and children who were residing in the flat that you are talking about, the city is attending to them to ensure that we provide shelter to those community members that are affected. There are more than 200 that are affected, especially women, more than 250 women and children. So it's the matter that the city is working on. Our officials are working together with those communities to check the possibilities of accommodating them. But there was also a request from the city that can't we have Transnet allowing them to go back to reoccupy the space whilst we are still finalizing our own engagements, whether we take over the building or not. So I think the decision was still pending from the Transnet side, whether they fully agree on that. The issue in relation to, since I have the deputy head of water and sanitation, I'll leave other matters, administrative matters to him. He's an engineer, so he will be able to talk on these issues as well. But all what we can say as leadership is that we acknowledge that there's a huge backlog. If you ask us whether we have money now to fix all of them, the truth is that we can't have such funding. It requires billions. It goes up to 20 billion rands to deal with the infrastructure that we talk about, also in the water infrastructure. So it requires a lot of money for us. But we have put allocations during the allocation of our budget to try and start working on some of these leakages that we have identified, which are really putting more pressure to us as a city to deal with, both on the aspect of environment as well as the just health of our own community members. But where we can, we are continuing to do some sporadic maintenance to ensure that we fix which the infrastructure which is still being able to be fixed. The issue on the shelters and the food distribution, we are attending to that as a city. Where there is a shortage, we'll continue to intervene. We are also finalizing the assessments because we have realized that there are people who have been part of joining the committees who are housed in these community halls because they just want to access food parcels. So we are really finalizing such assessments so that we deal with the right people in terms of the relief that we give as government. It should not be a matter of anyone who needs food parcel come to the community hall and reside there. So it's a matter that we assist with through our disaster management unit, working with our colleagues from the Department of Social Development, which has been also helpful in regard to distributing food in these shelters. We must also commend the NGOs and NPOs who have been really tirelessly providing such a relief to our communities. Some of them, they went dry now of their resources because they've been committing themselves in doing that. But we'll continue. We can't allow a situation where people will live without food. As a city, we'll continue to serve those communities. Babu Villa? Oh. Oh, okay, let me put him here so that he can sit where the mayor sits.
In the hot seat.
He may be lucky one day to become a mayor.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, members of the media and the colleagues. I'm just going to respond to the issues of the sewer infrastructure that was severely affected by the floods. I agree with Babu Mayor. Work is happening on the ground. We have service providers that are busy repairing some of the infrastructure. and we also have our own teams that are on the ground. I think we'll appreciate the amount of damage that was caused by the floods, and obviously the issues of budgets. We've tried to reprioritize the budget to try and address especially all the critical infrastructure that has the adverse impact on the public and the environment in terms of pollution. So work is going on there. We are trying to mobilize all the resources, both external and internal, to try and expedite the repairs on the ground. You might have seen in other areas where action is happening. So we are hoping that with the speed that we are and the resources that we are putting on the ground, we will come right in terms of expediting the repairs that needs to happen on our infrastructure.
Thank you. Thank you. Any more questions, colleagues?
Floor crossing. Let's change the chairs.
So anything to add?
I know. The mayor has covered everything. No, Babu Filan.
All right.
Siyabonga.
So thanks very much then, colleagues. What we'll do now is to open an opportunity for those of you who would like to capture Mayor on a one-on-one basis. But thank you so much for joining us and for joining us at such short notice. Thank you.